जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna and welcome back. So today we are continuing to discuss verse number 37 and 38 of chapter number 1. And in the previous verse or previous set of verses, Arjuna is giving reasons why he doesn't want to fight in the battlefield of Kurukshetra against his relatives. So as soon as Arjuna requested Krishna to bring the chariot in the center of the battlefield, he saw his relatives and his friends, and his heart was overwhelmed with compassion. So that was the first reason. And he sees the warriors on the opposing side as Swajana. Swajana means my people. And his reason is they are my people, they're my own people, and they are supposed to die after this war is over. So how can I actually fight with them? These are all my relatives and friends. And the second reason which he gave was enjoyment. So the people he is supposed to enjoy with, they will be all dead. And so Arjuna finds no reason to fight this war because he will not be able to enjoy with his relatives and friends after the war is over. And the third reason, which is given in this verse number 36, is he started giving the reason of fearful of sinful reaction. And in this verse, he calls them as Atatai. Atatai means aggressors. So Prabhupada explains there are 6 kinds of aggressors in the purport, and those aggressions, all the aggressions were done to the Pandavas by the Kauravas. So he knows that they are aggressor, but they are also their relatives. They are also the relatives of the Pandavas and the friends. So he considers that, and he says that, by killing them, we will get sinful reaction. And in this verse, he continues to give the same argument of fear of sinful reaction, and he adds another condition, that is destroying the family. So let's see what Arjuna is saying in this verse. So the Sanskrit is Yadapi etana pashyanti lobha upahata chetasa kulakshaya kritam dosham mitra drohe cha patakam katham na geyam asmabhihi papadasma nivirtitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadabhir janardana. So here this verses are two verses 37 and 38, two verses together. Normally there are one verse discussed each time. Here there are two verses based on the logical flow. Srila Prabhupada groups them together. So here we see that this verse number 37C, the line number, this first line is A, then B, then C and D. Similarly, this is verse number 38, A, B, C and D. So here we see the line number C of 37 and line number C of 38. These are same. Kulakshaya kritam dosham. Right? So generally this kind of repetitions are rare. So there are some repetitions seen almost like 2/3 of the verse in the later chapter. We'll see this kind of repetition. Krishna does it, but in different verses. But these are like consecutive verses. Third line is similar. So anyway, Arjuna speaks the first line as Yadapi ete na pashyanti. Again the word pashya comes here. Pashya means to see. So the sons of Dhritarashtra, they are not able to spashya, or they are not able to see. So what are they not able to see? So that is answered in the third line, 37C. Kulakshaya kritam dosham. They are not able to see the great sinful reaction of Kulakshaya. Now what is Kulakshaya? Destruction of one's own family. So the act of destruction of one's own family is not, the Kurus are not able to see. And why they are not able to see that this is a sin? Then that is answered in 37b. Lobha upahataha chetasa. Lobha plus upahata. So here if you see, Prabhupada has split the word lobha and upahata. So lobha means greed and upahata means overpowered. So Kauravas are not able to see that the families will be destroyed, and that is a sinful action. And they are not able to see because their consciousness is captured by, or the consciousness has been taken over by lobha or grid. Lobha is grid. So grid has overcome their consciousness. So there are like 6 kind of enemies which a living entity has. So those 6 kind of enemies are kama. Kama means material desires. Krodha means anger. Lobha is greed. Moha is illusion. Mada is pride or arrogance. And Matsarya is envy. So currently Arjuna is saying that the consciousness of the Kurus have been overtaken by this lobha or greed. So when somebody's consciousness is affected by one or more of these 6 enemies, which we just talked about, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada and matsarya, then what happens is we cannot see the things as they are. These 6 enemies actually steals away our intelligence. And what is the role of our intelligence? The role of our intelligence is the power of discrimination. With our intelligence we can discriminate that what is right for me or what is wrong, what is good for me, what is not good for me, or what is my duty and what is not my duty, or what is papa and what is punya. So we forget all this, we lose the power of discrimination. So these qualities, which are actually demoniac qualities, Krishna describes these qualities as this demoniac qualities. They actually completely blind us. And when we are blinded, we cannot see whether are we going to commit a sin or we are not going to commit a sin, or are we doing something right or wrong. So we lose that power of discrimination and we become completely blind. So we are so blinded, and when people are so blinded with this greed, what happens? Finally we end up doing something wrong. And that is explained in Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, this whole situation is explained by the story of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. So Dhritarashtra was blind by birth, and Pandu then became the king. But later on, the mind of Pandu shifted, and he was no longer actually charmed by the affairs, the material affairs or kingly affairs. So he decided to go to the forest, and his wives, Madri and Kunti, they both accompanied Pandu. So when Pandu left for the forest, he made Dhritarashtra as the in charge of the kingdom. And when he was acting like a king, Dhritarashtra got attached to the kingdom. And then Pandu was actually not attached, but wanted to make sure that the dynasty goes on. So that's why he put Dhritarashtra in his position. And then the Pandavas, they were all born in the forest. And then Duryodhan, along with the 99 brothers, they were born and they stayed in the palace. But because after some time, what happened, the Pandu had to leave his body. But before leaving the body, there was no indication that he is going to come back. So everyone in the palace thought that Duryodhan will be the next king, because he was the prince, right? And being a prince, he was pampered and spoiled, and all his desires were fulfilled. So he became very proud and very arrogant, and he was like so demanding that things always has to happen in his way. So although actually Bhishma saw these things, that Duryodhan is behaving in this way, he thought that as he will grow or as time will change, Duryodhan will change with the time. But it didn't happen. And when the Pandavas came back after Pandu passed away and Madri performed Sati, so Kunti came back with the Pandavas so to the Hastinapur, and then there was some time, a period of mourning. But after that mourning period was over, then they welcomed the Pandavas. And people in Hastinapur, they found that the behavior of Yudhishthir in particular, and in fact all the Pandavas, was very pleasant and contrast to this Kauravas. The Kauravas were like very demanding, but the Pandavas were accommodating, And the Kauravas only cared for themselves, while the Pandavas, they cared for all. They were like arrogant, and while the Pandavas were very tolerant. So basically, the Pandavas manifested all godly qualities, whereas the Kauravas, they manifested all ungodly qualities. So the Pandavas became very dear to Bhishma. Bhishma, as well as they were very dear to the courtiers, the citizen, and everyone in Hastinapur, they loved them. As this was progressing, the Pandavas, were the center of attraction and the center of attention. So Duryodhan, being a very envious person, his envy actually got inflamed. And he saw that his future claim as a king was getting threatened. So he felt that the Pandavas has usurped his claim to the kingdom of Hastinapur. But then, you see that Yudhishthir was actually elder to Duryodhan. And he already had a claim because Pandu was the king. So he was son of Pandu. So naturally, Yudhishthir should become the king. So from that time onwards, we see that Duryodhan nursed envy and greed in his heart. Practically, he had like no affection for the Pandavas. He had only anger for them. So Duryodhan saw them as enemies, and whose downfall and humiliation and destruction became the goal of his life. So he did conspiracies after conspiracies, one after another, and they finally meet in this battlefield of Kurukshetra. Hence Arjuna is saying that Duryodhan is greedy for this power and position, right? He doesn't care about the kulakshaya, the destruction of the family. So in the next verse, this is Katamna Geyam Asmabhi. So in the next verse, he is drawing a comparison between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. So he is saying, although they are not able to see, but we are very well able to see it. Right? We see this is Papa, this is a great sin. We are going to incur a great sin. That's why saying, oh Janardana is, Janardana means protector of Jana, a protector of people. So, oh Janardana, since we are able to see that this is a Papa, we are very well aware that it is going to be a great sin. Why should we be indulging in this warfare? We are not overcome by greed, or our consciousness is not contaminated by greed, right? So they want to fight, but why should we be participating in this particular war and incur sin? So this Chetasaha, is a very important word. Chetasaha means consciousness. Right? How should be our Chetasaha? So it should not be greed conscious. Our consciousness should not be covered with greed, lust, greed, anger, all these things which we saw earlier. It should not be covered with that, but instead of that, our consciousness should be God consciousness. So in greed consciousness, it is such a nasty thing that the greed never gets satisfied, and it always burns like a fire, and you will always want more and more and more. We are never satisfied. Whereas in God consciousness, a person becomes satisfied. He doesn't require anything more than whatever is necessary. So here Arjuna is taking a high moral ground. Means, he can see, since he can see that, the sins will be incurred and we will be punished. So since he knows that, and the other party, the Duryodhan and Kurus, they don't know that. So because Arjuna knows that, he is taking the position that we should not fight. So here Arjuna is also thinking about the future generation. So what will happen to the successive generation, the generation which is in the present and the near future and the later generation. So this will be actually the topic of discussion in the future verses. He is going to talk about that. So let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to talk about this verse. And first of all, let's read the translation and then the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. So here Srila Prabhupada says in the translation, "O Janardana," because he is addressing to Krishna as Janardana. So, O Janardana, protector of people, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends. Right? Although they cannot see, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying the family, engage in these acts of sin? So this is a reason, the third reason, which is sinful reaction. We will get sinful reaction for this particular action. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that how Kshatriya should act. So there are our religion, which we follow is called as Sanatan Dharma. In Sanatan Dharma, sometimes it is also known as Varnashram Dharma. So there are 4 Varnas and 4 ashramas. So what are the ashramas? So Grihastha, so Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So these are 4 ashramas. And then the 4 Varnas are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras. So all of them have their respective duties. So how a Kshatriya should act, that is what is explained here. Kshatriya means administrator or a ruler. So a Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse a battle. So this, when somebody is a king, they live a certain kind of lifestyle. So, and they are a protector, protector of the citizens. So they should be ready to fight, and they fight from the front end. Means basically the kings are in the front in the battlefield. When the battle goes on, the Kshatriya kings are supposed to be right in the front. They do not hide behind their army. So they lead by example. So Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is so invited by some rivalry party. Means opposite party, when they invite for battle or they challenge them in the battlefield, they should go and fight the battle. Under such an obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight, because Kshatriyas are supposed to fight like that when they are called for. So here Duryodhan and the Kauravas, they have invited the Pandavas to fight. So that's why Prabhupada is writing, under such an obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he has been challenged by the party of Duryodhana. So that's the reason he has to fight. He is a Kshatriya and he must act as a Kshatriya. But what is Arjuna's point of view? So this is what is given in the next point. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effect of such a challenge. So they are not seeing what is going to be the result, because Duryodhan is assuming that because he has so many good warriors in his side, so they are going to win. He forgot about Krishna. He has not mentioned anywhere when he listed all the warriors, he forgot to list Lord Shri Krishna because he thought he is just a charioteer. So this is the mindset of a materialist. Anything which goes around, he just sees what is in front of him. He doesn't see what is behind, who is actually controlling things. So in Arjuna's case, he knew that Krishna is the supreme controller. He is a Rishikesha. And Arjuna knew that because Krishna is also Madhava, is the husband of the goddess of fortune. So always there will be fortune wherever there is Krishna. So they are going to win for sure. Arjuna knew that Arjuna and the Pandavas, their side is going to win, and all the Kauravas will be dead. So because he had that information, he is thinking that he considered that the other party might be blind to the effect of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see the evil consequence and could not accept the challenge. Because he knew what is going to be the result, that's why he is thinking twice. Because he is also, we need to see that Arjuna is saintly in nature. He has saintly qualities. He doesn't have qualities like greed. He is not greedy for the kingdom. Right? In fact, when Lord Krishna went as a messenger, he said that if you give me 5 villages, the Pandavas will be satisfied by just ruling the 5 villages. Because the Kshatriyas have to rule, they need to rule something. So you just give me 5 villages and they will be happy, and we will not have this war. So this was a proposal given by Krishna on behalf of the Pandavas, but the Kauravas didn't agree. Right? So that's why this battle had to happen. So then Prabhupada says, obligation, what is obligation? To not refuse when challenged to the battle or gamble, right? Is actually binding when the effect is good, right? If the effect is good, then one must accept this kind of challenges. But if the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. So Arjuna can reject that. This is another way of looking at it. So considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decided not to fight. So we see that, how saintly he is. He's thinking about the opposite army actually. Though they have done so much atrocities to the Pandavas throughout their life. But Arjuna is not like that. He doesn't want to take any revenge. So these are some of the reasons which Arjuna is giving why he should not participate in this battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this has been listed, whatever is there in the purport, as some points over here. So I'll not discuss, you can read it when you get time. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol.